Hello, you wonderful people. It's Friday. It's the last panel of the week. We've had a long week of technical glitches, hurricanes. We're still in quarantine. Are we in quarantine? No one knows. So what are we going to do? We're going to sit around and guess what's next in the future as we try to put together and almost use our Da Vinci Code minds to Nostradamus the future of the comic book industry. And I brought together some illustrious creators. And we're going to go around the room and do the intros, and we're going to talk about what's next. Jax will be giving us the Comic-Con sounds for this evening's panel. So let's go around the room, starting with the one, the only, the Demon.
Who's frozen?
It's like Belial when he had that time in stone, and he couldn't.
Seem to be having some issues on here. I think I'm on here now. Okay, so Demon Phil, Comics and More, New Jersey.
With a dog in the background. Back to you. Oh, apparently there was a problem.
There was. We've lost the Demon, so we're gonna.
Sorry, Demon. Sorry, Demon Phil.
We're gonna go to the Zim.
I look forward to seeing you back. Hey, everybody. I'm Randy Zimmerman. I've been doing alternative and independent comics for many, many, many years. Right now, I'm a award-winning commercial and graphic artist whose main avenue of business is doing advertising work in sequential art. I also do the Zim Geek channel on YouTube, and I am part of the Indie Volt podcast that's on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. and Thursday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I think the Demon is coming back, but while he warms up, we'll go on to Brian K. Morris.
Hi, I'm Brian K. Morris, Rising Tide Publications at risingtide.pub. Also have a page on Facebook or a face on Pagebook. You take your choice. We do comic books. We do novels. We also have a daily talk show called Nevermind the Furthermore, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central Time. And Tuesday night, a interview show, Clever Title Pending, where we talk to creators about creativity and the business behind it. Next
we have Travis Gibb.
Hello, I am Travis Gibb. I am the creator of Broke Down and Four Dead Bodies. It's about two guys who break down on the side of the road. Lots of guns, lots of violence, lots of F words. I also have a couple other books that you may have heard of. Cthulhu Invades Oz seems to be hitting the internet pretty well lately. It's a big anthology with 40-plus creators. We have the wonderful Voodoo Nations with the ever-popular Luke Stone, who happens to be on the show on a regular basis, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff, including The Advocator, which is a book that advocates for other comics. What we do is we take 6 comics, have them do 4 pages minimum each, put it together in one book, and then go from there.
And we're going to go to Chuck.
I'm Chuck Pineau. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter at ChuckyPin. I'm a writer-editor. I've written such things as Belial, and Welcome to the Void. I'm an editor, so I also know how to screw up well and to fix it. I'm also an award-winning comic book reviewer on my excellent comic book review channel on YouTube, Chuck's Raw Reviews.
All right, we're going to finally be back with the Demon. Demon, do it.
All right, am I back? I think I'm here again. All right, Demon Phil, Comics and More, New Jersey, here with everybody today. You can find me on YouTube and Facebook. Comics and More, New Jersey is what you look up on there. Do book reviews. I do interviews, a lot of interviews, and doing some marketing as well for the comic industry. So staying very busy.
Would you also do book options, like possibly tonight?
That will not be tonight. I have an interview tonight. I have interviews all the flipping time.
All right.
Today is Friday, right?
Yeah.
All day. Yep.
Okay.
Who knows?
If we're done, I am the host. I am Mr. Anderson, formerly the Indie Devil. I am a proud comic book advocate, and I'm a comics devil now, known to go out and stir the pot a little bit unintentionally because I'm a very honest person. And no, I don't really do things to piss people off. Occasionally, yes, I own it, but not when I'm actually trying to do a debate or something. These are real topics I'm interested in having open conversations. And there was something yesterday that I launched out, and we might be inviting in some people from Comicsgate watching this. And to those who are trying to investigate and look into this, It's a great starting point. One of the things I want to see is our fractured industry come back together. I want to see everyone come closer to center. I want to see people starting to work together. I want everyone to start just letting the fans make the decisions. I don't want to see groups anymore. We already have groups. They're called publishers. To me, that's how we go in the future. So looking into my crystal ball, 1 year from now, it's not that I want Comicsgate or any group to disappear. I just want them to be okay and play nicely on the playground. That is the industry that makes comic books. So we're going to pass it off, and we're going to start with Randy and just go straight. You turn around the room, so it'll be Randy, Brian, Travis, Chuck, and Demon Fell. So what do you think, Randy? Can I get that? Can I get an industry that plays on the same playground and actually respects each other enough to give them room to be who they are?
Only if we all act like adults. I think that's the big key part right there. Is we have to have enough maturity and decide that this art form is going to mature enough for everybody to get along. I think that's the real key. We all need to stop, cut back on the trolling, start talking about the positivity, and get sequential art out there as a common goal out there to the masses, and that means everybody, absolutely everybody. And you're muted, Rob.
Yeah. Well,
sorry. I was saying, Travis, I'm going to mute you because we're getting a lot of sounds from you doing what you're doing. I'll unmute, or you can mute yourself. Yeah, cool. All right. Sorry, Randy.
No, I said my piece, actually.
Okay, cool. Brian.
Okay, I would agree 100% with Randy. We are... it kind of reminds me of Walt Kelly's Pogo. We have met the enemy, and he is us. There is too much negativity, too much sniping. Success and creativity, there is no such thing as zero sum in this or any other industry. There is enough room for everybody to have a slice of the pie. And really what we need to do is fight the ignorance of the general public, who I occasionally run into people who say, I can't believe it, they're still making comic books. And that is the sort of thing we need to overcome. We need to let the world know that this is still a viable art form. And in fact, everybody has more chance to have a voice in that industry through creation because of the way technology works now. So that's my piece, and I'll throw it to Travis Gibb.
I'm here. Sorry, you. The minute I fixed tabs to make my box. So, though I agree in principle, I think right now times are super heated with the two factions. They have a leader over there at the Comicsgate crew that really encourages this behavior. Like, regardless of what you believe or not, he encourages on a normal basis. He actively gets people on the phone, starts fights with them. That makes it very, very hostile. In principle, yes, I believe we should agree. But it's really hard now, too, because it's not just Kickstarter, Indiegogo. It's also Twitter and Facebook. There's all these different subgroups that makes it further and further harder to do it. If you're looking at things that are actually trying to unite all these things, look to like Plan C Distribution. They're doing a great job getting indie books into stores all over the place. Doesn't matter what you have. If your book can sell in their store, they're going to get you for it, get it from you. So that's where I see that going. That's my opinion.
For me, I would say it's all about what Mahatma Gandhi said, to throw out a quote and make me sound smart. Be the change in the world that you want to see. And so actually that's killing it. Be the change you want to see in the world. And so the thing is that
that's Mother Teresa.
What's that?
That's Mother Teresa.
No, it's not, but thanks for that. Anyways, so the thing is that anything that we want to happen, especially for our own books and that kind of stuff, we need to be willing to do for others. So like, that's why I started Chuck's Raw Reviews. I wanted a place that wasn't going to lambaste my book and completely destroy it, but just be passionate and excited about the fact that there was a book and about the cool stuff about it. And so I do that for other people. Now, that doesn't mean that I grab every single book out there and pretend like it's good. It's that I focus on the books that I do enjoy. and I focus on the good parts about them. That's what I want, and that's what I want to see, so that's what I want to do. So I think for a lot of us, if we want to see this non-fractured world, we have to do our best to try to look past that fracture and deal with it. So I do have Comicsgate people on my Facebook, and if they're not complete pieces of shit, then we continue to be friends. And, you know, sometimes you find that those people, that people who aren't Comicsgate are the exact same, and they're dicks too. So basically, I just try to keep good people around me in my world, and I try to be that good that I would like to see.
And for those who weren't here for yesterday's show, I'm completely in agreement with Chuck. I absolutely loved everything he said. And I have actually said that I will live up to the standard of being a pair, being professional, being ethical, being authentic, being respectful. And that all begins with, and like Chuck said, if you want to change the world, you better be ready to stand up and do your part in changing that world, which is exactly why I'm going out of my way to invite all these creators to be part of a conversation. And I know a lot of people have tried to go out and put their own spin on it. Here's the deal. We're calling it a creator feud because we want the sides to sit down and talk. It's like a town hall meeting. It's a proper debate. Comicsgate on one side, SJW on the other side, or whoever wants to be on the opposite side of Comicsgate. But here's the deal. I'm running it. That means it's going to be an intelligent conversation or you're going to be kicked out of my group. So if you're going to bring something, you better be able to prove it. And that's the only thing I ask, because I'm a person of facts. Bring me facts. Don't bring me opinions. And I think we need to get to the future where, like Chuck said, everyone is trying to be the best them they can be in the moments that they are there. Save your trolling for your friends when you're behind the scenes making jokes and making comments. Did you want something, Brian?
No. I had a frog in my throat. Sorry, go on.
No, you're good. You're good. I just wanted to make sure. You know, I really think that in the future, the industry really is going to require us to step up a little bit. So how do you personally feel we can step up the industry where it's all together? I mean, everything that's going on, you all know, you're all tapped in. And by the way, Demon Phil had to step out. New Jersey's getting bad weather right now. He's going to try to come back in. We don't know if we're going to be able to get him back. What do you guys think that we can do? What are things that we can do to elevate comics so Walmart stops putting us in children's section when the books that are big deal, these are books that are now in Walmart and they're being put in kids sections. And they don't belong in kids sections. They don't. There's even a great historical tale that I don't have up there.
Let me correct you. Do you believe that it's possible that Walmart is super overwhelmed right now?
I was
just got put in the wrong section. Give it a little bit of grace.
No, I was a retail manager. I know you get emails about that. That's a choice. From being a retail manager, that was a choice. And it's not just at my store. It's at countless stores. They did not prioritize it.
I've only seen the one. I've only seen yours. Everybody else, I've seen the little rack.
No, Eric had it where they shoved it in the back corner, actually hiding half of the display.
Between the kids' books and the electronics, yeah.
Yeah,
you got to remember that every store's laid out differently, so they may not have room for that rack. So it's hard, but it's no different than a comic store. Then an indie comic at a comic store gets thrown wherever it decides to get thrown. Yeah, how is it any different?
Because this is merchandising. Believe it or not, whenever you're doing merchandising, there are specific rules that go with it. Being a retail manager, I can tell you, you get an email.
I've been a retail manager.
Okay.
CompuSA. What do you want?
So you've been a retail manager at a giant chain, right?
CompuSA, yes.
Okay. So you got the emails that told you specifically where those ink caps were supposed to be when they were
right, but it's based off the design of your store. Each store has a different design.
Yeah, but
and again, I'm not saying that you're wrong and it should be in the kitchen section, but I'm saying that you have to give them the benefit of the doubt because I've seen tons that were in the right rack.
I don't. That's the point.
Okay, well, then we're never going to get further if every time Walmart looks at, hey, how well did this do? Looks like everybody's shitting on us on the internet, so let's not do it.
We're telling them not to put it in the wrong place. We're holding them up to a standard. We have to hold people to standards. That is their job. If you went to McDonald's and you got a burger without a bun, you wouldn't be like, times are tough. I get it. There's no bun today. They didn't say anything, and you saw everyone else getting a bun. You'd be like, hey, wait, why didn't I get a bun?
Well, hold on. Let's back up. Everyone here has gone to McDonald's, had shitty food, and gone back again.
Yes.
Everybody.
And we held them accountable. You're proving my point without realizing.
I'm not holding them accountable. I'm going back to them. So I'm not holding them accountable. We've gone back and eaten their food. We're not.
I've complained. Every time I've complained and gotten my right.
Well, I give a little bit more grace than that. But you're not wrong to complain.
Nope. I expect people, especially this was a huge rollout. I would get you if this wasn't a huge national rollout that was literally covered by actual real media for once.
Right. But Randy's been in this industry for a long time. Books. This happens to books every day at Barnes and Noble, Staples, all of any place that sells books. This is a standard issue. I don't think it's an attack on indie comics.
No, worse. They didn't take it serious. That's my problem. Go ahead, Chuck.
You actually nailed it on the head without knowing it there, Rob. You said real media. Stop that shit. The problem is that us comic creators keep talking like what we're doing is some kind of fucking form of lesser media. We keep writing, we're writing comics so they can become TV shows, so they become movies. We talk like things like Newsarama and all that kind of stuff isn't real media. Stop that shit. All of our stuff is real. Treat it real, talk about it like it's real, or else they'll put us in the kiddie section because that's how we're acting, like we're a lesser media. That's where it starts.
But you have to admit, what word would you say for the media that ignores this thing? You do have to qualify the fact that media gets more exposure. What word would
I would say mainstream media.
Mainstream, okay.
You don't have to call it real because that makes us less real.
I agree. No argument. I completely agree, and I will call it mainstream from this point.
Sorry, I got passionate.
I love that. I love the passion. Let it come out all you want. So let's try this around the room now. Randy, how can we make changes for the better in our industry?
Well, that's different than what you've been talking about the last 5 minutes. I just want to point that out.
Point to Andy. Point to Randy.
I just want to point that out. You're right. Rob's right. These managers do get dictates as to how things are supposed to be displayed, but it's up to the manager whether or not they're going to adhere or ignore it until they get yelled at. So there's a manager in your area that absolutely needs to be raked over the coals and needs an education and needs to be instructed as to exactly what those products are because he's not familiar with the widget.
Yep.
Now there is a whole probably 2, if not 3 generations that don't know exactly what comics are for the most part because everybody's had blinders on. Everybody's walked. The folks that have walked into retail comic shops know what a comic is. Those that don't just look at that. Oh, that's that weird comic book place. And they don't bother to go in. The real key here is to start bringing those people into these shops and to start giving them everybody pretty much an education to the art form, to what sequential art is, to what that comics are still around. They're still great. They're still a very, very varied art form that needs to be even more varied, needs more points of view brought in with enough skill to do entertaining books. That they folks just need to get educated as to what's going on out there as far as the comic market goes. And Chuck is also very right. We need to stop considering ourselves as lower or other because that's the way we have been mentally treated and have treated ourselves the last 3 freaking decades as, oh, we do comics, we're geeks, we hang out in basements, we're still living at our mom's house or whatever. That all that mentality has to shift and change. And it's really up to us to do it.
Can I ask you a question, Randy, that I think that you're the great guy to answer?
Huh.
Do you feel it has to go the other way too? Because I feel that DC line that they did in Walmart was really, really good, but because of us at the store, we shit on it, so it didn't work. So it goes both ways. Would you agree?
It does, but DC also has to do a better line because those products.
They put Bendis on Batman. That's what people wanted.
Those 100-pagers were horrible.
But they sell out at my local store.
No, they do. They do absolutely because people want to be entertained. People love being entertained. But when you do a one of who knows how many serial constantly in those books, you are chasing people away. You're gonna have parents looking at it going, this isn't even a complete story. What the heck's going on here? Mm-hmm. When DC has the most comprehensive comic library at their fingertips that they could do really phenomenal stories and they could get a huge variety of stuff out there that's self-contained and enough. You're doing 100 pages. give the reader some satisfaction and throw in, if I was in charge of the 100 pagers, they'd look like the old super spectaculars that were out back before. You'd have a fantastic self-contained modern story in the front and a bunch of other little stories behind it in order for people to get used to your entire catalog of fantastic IPs. Instead of being, here's a Batman, here's a Robin, here's a Batgirl, and all of those stories are all 3 out of the 4 stories, or there's only one story that might luckily be self-contained, but they're all kicked on. Or they're all continued into the next issue. Good luck trying to find that, because you don't know, you're not into that habit of going to a shop or a store and looking for the next issue. You want to understand that the Walmart stuff is a quick hit, one and done. If you ever look at the digests that Archie did for Marvel that were out about a year and a half ago or so, that they kicked those out every other month. I thought those were a lot better than the Walmart DC books, because there was a couple of old stories, a couple of medium age stories, but they were all self-contained. You got, if it was 1 or 2 parters, you got those in there. And then there was a couple of the Marvel adventure stories in the back that were more modern and reprinted. But also to go with that, and we can spend hours talking about this, but if you look at those Archie digest, you can certainly tell when the great stuff ended and the modern stuff began, because all of the pages were white on the old issues, and everything was dark and black outline. The whole pages were black all the way through the rest of the book, so you can tell where the division of the old stuff and the new stuff was. But anyway, that's off subject. We need to educate people. I think that's the real key thing. We need to do products. DC had an ample opportunity here to really secure a bunch of IPs in Walmart, and they just, I think they really blew it. I really do. And the retailer mentality on that also, you're absolutely right. That they got out of hand in complaining that those books were out there. Because they should have been available automatically to the retailers right from the start. And DC should have come up and said, hey, we're just like the Ultimate line. Hey, we're bumping into Walmarts. We want you to carry the stuff too. Here it comes. Because it's a great format. I love that 100-page format. I grew up reading those super spectaculars when they were first out, and cutting, and every character, even if you didn't know who he was, you wanted to know who they were. You wanted to know who these characters were, and there was a huge variety of self-contained stories that you get yourself lost in.
All right, we're gonna pass over to Brian now, but I will say I like those DC books. I get what Randy's saying, great points, but I still like them. Believe it or not, the ones they put out, I enjoyed them.
They did do a ghost stories around Halloween. That was a ghost book that was amazing. That was good. And you know, my wife reads comics like crazy, and she won't touch the other spectaculars. When that ghost one come up, it piqued her interest because it's got characters in there that she likes. She loved that book. She thought it was amazing.
That one was great.
Bunch of little short stories all done in one, and just great reading.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree that we've gotten away from the done in one issue. I remember reading articles that Julie Schwartz he was kept on by DC after his retirement as an editor, as kind of like a goodwill ambassador, and also, read our stuff, Julie, tell us what's going on. And the main thing he said was that everything is a continued story. And this was when comics were starting to write for the trade paperback. And so you had like one story, but it was stretched out over 6 issues, which to me is lazy storytelling. But be that as it may, I agree completely with Randy that we need to educate the public that comics are still around. But we are thinking of this. We are thinking of this format, whereas the public now thinks of this as the format, the big reprint that they see in a specific section in Barnes & Noble or Books A Million. And I think a lot of the education should come from the retailer level. As a former comics retailer, a lot of shops don't have an advertising budget. Too many of them are still mired in that 80s and 90s thought about, we'll just open the doors and the money will start rolling in. And their idea of promotion is putting a new poster in the window and maybe taking it out 2 years later after the sun's done a number on it. But what retailers need to do is do more outreach to libraries, to schools, and tell people, yeah, we got comics. This is as important an art form as jazz, as rock and roll. And we've still got this stuff. In fact, we've been around for almost 90 years now or so, 35 to 20. Someone can do the math because I can't.
A little over 90.
Yeah, thank you, Randy. And and that we've got this great store of incredible books. And I agree. I think I read somewhere Paul Levitt said when he wrote his series of books for Taschen on the history of DC Comics, there were only 24 books that DC did not have in its own library. And these were like special interest books that they do for specific industries and stuff that authorize the comics. But yeah, I think the retailers need to pick up their share of the workload and make themselves available to local media to tell people, yeah, we got these comics. Be out there, sponsor a little league team or something, do something to get the message out. It will help them and it will help the entire industry. I don't think this is a problem that we can say, oh, only the publishers can do it, or only the fans can do it. I think it's going to take a lot of the middlemen too in order to get this message out. Yeah, exactly. Everybody's got to pull their weight and row in the same direction.
Yep.
You're up, Travis.
So, I think the biggest problem that we have, and this is going to be crazy coming from me because I'm a huge community guy, is when you're talking about retail, the retailers that work are communities. They build a community in their store. They have fan appreciation. They have, if the store owner says that Saga is the book to buy, everyone's going to buy Saga. It's no question. So what happens is the community gets mad at like a Walmart selling a book, and then they rebel against it. So they don't understand the bigger market of, hey, Walmart can only sell you this few things. They're gonna come to your store. You're the mega store of the small store. It's like the fishing game section of Walmart. Yeah, you can buy your fishing pole there, or you can go to Bass Pro Shop, which is the mega store of Bass. And I don't think the community stores are really good at that. I think retailers as a whole feel screwed over on a regular basis by Marvel and DC and Image. So anything they do is fit with oppositions. Randy and I have had many debates, even offline about, Marvel's ordering situations, the way they do things, DC's buyback programs, all these things that are stuff. It's the biggest disconnect is not understanding that Kickstarter and Indiegogo and Walmart having comics, all of that's good for the industry. And what's better, going back to what Randy said, what's better is that at least the 100 format is a move in the right direction, because what they used to be doing is, here's a whole bunch of crap that's 5 years old. We're going to throw it in a bag, says Marvel on it's $10, because that's not going to draw anybody in it.
That's
and
true.
then they started throwing random variant covers in there to make people buy them.
Yep.
But that's where you really hurt the retailer. So now you throw a variant cover at Walmart. They're searching at Walmart for this variant cover to try to get it, to buy books that don't mean anything to them and taking off the market, where those books should be as low as possible. Really, if you're going to do those packs, throw them at the dollar store. Have 3 in a pack and throw them at the dollar store. At least you're getting readers that way. Because at the $10 price point of what they're trying to do is garbage. I really agree with Randy. The Swamp Thing issues that they did were for all original stories was really good. They did some really good stuff in there when DC didn't know what to do. Like they were like, oh, we got tons of Teen Titans stuff. We got tons of Superman stuff. We got tons of stuff. But remember, it was old 52 and new 52. It was a hodgepodge of mix of random stuff in there. It was so crazy. Mm-hmm. So that's my feeling. If we're going to move forward, we have to see these things as not threats and see how we can partner with them and understand that retail, if they can do their stores right, they're going to be able to keep these things longer. Because Walmart is always going to be out of stock of stuff. It's just going to happen.
John? Yeah, I think I really like that. I think you're nailing it there, Travis. I think we have to start treating Walmart and big box places like that as our gateway, and so that can open new fans to it. But at the end of the day, if you want Saga, if you want Broke Down, if you want anything like that, you're not getting that at freaking Walmart. So Walmart can get us new fans and get new people in there. And then it's our jobs to excite those people and to show them, dude, that stuff is great, but there's a whole other world out there of amazing stuff. Come on out to the shop, and so we can use that as a gateway to bring them into these shops rather than saying, fuck Walmart, fuck the big boys, we don't need them.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to add, though, Walmart has absolutely no interest in having people know about comic shops. We have got to basically introduce people through Walmart, but bypass them as far as information, because that's why Walmart, like Facebook, they want to be one-stop shopping. They don't want you to leave them. And, if, DC could put in a thing about, like 1-800-COMICS or whatever the hotline is to find your local comic shop, that would be a step in the right direction. But who knows, since these books are being made for Walmart specifically, and we don't see the contract, that who knows if this came up in discussion, said, well, Walmart says, okay, we'll sell you that real estate where you can put in your stand and sell your comics, DC, and then we'll discuss about how we pull old product out and new product in. But we don't want you putting anything in about that comic hotline thing, because we want people to stay inside Walmart. So this is where we, as the so-called community and the retailers and everybody around, need to find a way to get the message out. Yes, I agree completely. I'm loving the 100-page giants, even if they're repairing stuff that's probably still on some retailer stands right now,
or in their dollar boxes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Go to their place. Yeah, go to their place and get the same comic for a quarter. I don't think that's the message Walmart wants to send. No. But we still need to get that message out, and tap into maybe the creative community who might go on some of these radio and TV shows and just represent. Well,
I want to tell you, there's one of the things that's a little thing. You may not know this, Brian, but the last 2 years, trade paperbacks have actually seen a decrease. They're actually going down.
Yeah.
So one of the tricks that DC did was those 100 pages are called are trade paperbacks, even though they're not trade paperbacks at any comic store. So they can get their numbers of trade paperbacks, because DC was dropping heavily too, because they were only buying those first 52s, those first couple of new 52, like the 1 and 2,
right.
Court of Owls, and then nothing for DC. So their trade market was horrible. So this is how they fought that trade market in the Diamond distributors, because it still marks for Diamond in their trade section, not in their normal comic orders. Okay. So just so you know, it's almost kind of like a scam to make them look bigger than they are, even though trades are on decline, which I don't have a solution for at all.
Well, I'm announcing my brand new graphic novel. It's fun-sized graphic novel. So, okay, thanks for that tip, Travis. You're the man.
I do that every time I send out media mail. That's great.
Brian, you're joking, but a lot of creators actually count a 40-page book as a mini graphic novel. That has been a thing for a very long time, actually. Also, 2 other points to what you said that I don't think you realized. The first one is, even though Walmart is the one who has it, if people want more comics and they know Walmart doesn't have it, there's a natural instinct to look further for more. And that was what Randy's point was. Get them hooked there, and they're naturally going to look. Doesn't matter what Walmart tries to do, because a lot of us go see something at Walmart and they don't have the specific one we want, so we go and look for the one that fits us better. Walmart can't serve everything. And then the other point I wanted to make was the Jax. The other point I wanted to make that I think you're missing is Walmart advertises all the time about local farmers, local businesses. So if they, and I made this point on your show, if they keep wanting local people, that means it could open the door for local creators if they're buying the books. And you know what? The comic book shops who are pissing on Walmart, I think Travis is right. They're just not smart enough to see the bigger picture. They're not seeing that this could be an opportunity for them, and they should be saying, hey, go to Walmart, get that book, and bring me that book and tell me what you liked in it, because I can get you back issues that'll match that book. There's a golden moment that they're dropping the ball on. Instead, they're like, oh, I hate that. I had a guy in my thread today say, oh, well, I would never support the Walmart books because they're not coming to my shop. And it's 6 months when your shop is closed because you didn't find a way to monetize that. Don't come giving me your GoFundMe, because you're the one closing opportunities, not Walmart. It's your job. There are still mom and pops that open up right next to Walmart all the time and are successful. And Walmart actually leases them the property. Don't forget about the inside where people are buying space now.
Yeah.
So there's opportunity in Walmart.
There is, but I think like you said, I agree with you about retailers, although now they have access to the 100-page books. I pick up mine now at my comic store. I think one problem is we've got, like Randy said, a couple generations who aren't even aware that comics are even being produced. So they might go into Walmart and say, "Hey, look, comics," and 10-year-old, whatever-year-old kid's like, "Oh, cool, where can I get more?" And they'll say, "Yeah, there we go, Randy," and they'll say, "Oh, we'll just come back to Walmart next month and get the next issue." And Randy's got a good example there.
I spent 10 years doing a comic newspaper and putting it out for free to everybody, little red boxes. You'd be amazed of how many new comic readers came into the comic shops. I had every comic shop in the area advertising in here, and they were telling me they had people walking in ever since the paper come out, dropping their jaw and looking around their store, not realizing what a comic shop was, where it was, what it does, and all of that. They picked up more customers than you would believe. That I mean, you honestly, doing this newspaper literally reinstilled my love of comics.
Oh, cool.
Because I had so many people reading this, getting online, telling me how great. I had people calling me asking where the next issue was if I was a day late. It was crazy. But comics to the masses, I know, are super accessible. People want to be entertained. They want to read this stuff. You just have to be able to figure out how to get it to them at a price point and an availability that they can take. And then you make the habit of them going every Wednesday and getting hooked and walking in. Something that really dismayed me. I was really worried when DC started Wednesday comics because it looked like the same format that I was doing. Folds right out. You can fit it right inside of a magazine bag and collect them. Great format, but it was a test market for them, and then they were done. Outside of doing the coffee table book for $75, they were done. And this was something, Wednesday Comics was something that you could have brewed a regular client base coming in every Wednesday looking for the next episode. That's when you do the continued story. That's when you do the long-running fantastic serial. You know, that's how you get them in. And then you take all of that stuff and you cheaply reproduce them in newsprint and stick them in your Walmarts and your Ollie's and that. I think one of the greatest gateway entrances lately has been Marvel and DC going through and cleaning out their warehouses and moving the stuff out to Ollie's and watching everybody walk out literally with boxes full for Christmas presents. Of stuff that they would never have touched before or even opened a cover of or had remotely had known they existed. I found collection volumes I had no idea had gone through the retail shop. That I thought was who would have thought to put together all of the Weird World material, you know, stuff like as an example. Also,
especially Star Wars, because I can't, when you're a comic collector, you can't add Star Wars. Like it's literally its whole line. It's a whole Marvel and DC line of books. So me being able to get those trades after the fact, and all these for $3 a piece, really changed on because these are top writers. I can't add it to my subscription. I'm way overtapped.
Plus, one of the great things that Ollie's carried and a lot of the other discount bookstores carried a year or two ago were collections with Roy Thomas notations of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman during the war years. And that we need to see a lot more of that. A lot of old historical comics thrown together into nice volumes with notations in order to put those stories in proper context. This is what was going on in the world at the time. Boom, 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 boom. Here's a story.
I think it would be a good idea to make something for those, like an Ollie's maybe, and that would be the way to get people who maybe are closer to our generation to look at those things because they say, hey, this is from my youth, and so I can see that.
Just think about what would happen if they were to kick out a version in the same format as Shonen Jump.
Yeah. Oh,
constantly,
seriously. Every
month, boom, boom. Here's 300 or 400 pages, even if it's in black and white, even if it's on off-color paper. It's a story for you to read, And how many parents walking by will go, just like the cheapy puzzle books that you see with the big volumes for $5 or $10. Oh, there's a huge book of comics. My kid would love that.
The worst thing is, Randy probably knows they do have done those things. but they'll always choose something random. Like there's a one that I own that's a Showman Grump, but it's vampires.
Yeah.
So it's all old Bram Stoker and the first appearance of Blade. Like, yes, somebody may buy that, but no, do it to your main stuff. Do it. You have the Spider-Man collections. Throw it out there. You have the Cap Fantastic Four. Throw it to actually things that people are going to read. Don't put it out. You know it's going to fail. Like I swear, Marvel and DC both do that. Here's stuff that we know is going to fail, just so we can tell you that you're wrong.
Yeah. Or even to pay a commercial or a kid who knows computers to take some of those pages and break them down into multiple pages and sell them in smaller paperback form. Because that was also something that I loved as a kid, is getting these little paperbacks that had comics and comic strip reprints in them. Yeah. So and you can make those really accessible. I mean, what we talk $3 or $4 for an old Harlequin. They still sell Harlequin romance books. They're all real cheap newsprints. Mm-hmm. You know, you can print comics in there just as easy as you can print prose and just kick them out.
Yep. All right, guys, we're going to read some comments that can't be put through because Facebook is acting up again today. Gary Henderson says, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Gary.
Sarah says, hi there, guys. I love the concept of hair. That's spectacular with the sticker of it. That's the art of Chris Mad, giving him some love. Gary Henderson says, Comicsgate says they are different now. They told me that they are not a cult and they are not racist. Can you guys talk about what's good about Comicsgate and what's bad? No, we're doing a special show about that. On Sunday, I believe it's Sunday. I told the person helping me, I'm going to
do it on the Lord's Day.
Yeah, I can. We're doing it on the 29th, I believe. I have to ask. That's a Friday because I remember the date.
Right, that's
Friday.
When you hear somebody come on and admit, hi, we're a racist cult, nobody's going to do that.
Well, either way, we're not going to.
They private messaged him, Brian, so it's fine.
No,
okay, cool.
Hey, guys, we're not doing that today. We're inviting them to have a conversation. Yes. I'm not going to have anyone taking cheap shots here. We want to open a dialogue for all sides. No cheap shots on my show, please. Teresa Dunn says, afternoon, gentlemen. Good afternoon, Teresa. And okay, so all done with. I think we're all done with the comments now. Yep, all done. So okay, we have about 20 minutes till we hit the 1 hour mark. So let's talk about Diamond. That's the big one, right?
That's a whole nother show right there.
But
it's
I mean,
a week of them,
right?
It's Say what?
Future.
It's a week. It's a week of shows.
It's a week. Could be, yeah.
So, do you want to talk about just Diamond or Diamond and the new distribution channels?
Let me finish. So Diamond famously has crashed, and not burnt, but crashed with this whole epidemic and or pandemic. Sorry. With that in mind, they've come back. DC's gone other places, and this has opened a crack. Your best guess over the next year in the future of comics, how do you see distribution changing? We'll start with Randy, go around the room. Brian K. Morris, Travis Gibb, and Chuck.
Can we go the opposite way? Chuck needs to talk. He hasn't talked in forever.
That's fine by me. Chuck, you can start.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
No, thank you. No, okay. No, I'm down. For me, I see, DC is already doing its own thing. Scout looks like it's doing its own thing. Alterna's doing its own thing. I think we're going to see a lot more different distribution networks that are probably doing similar things to as Diamond, but it means that I think there's going to be people are going to have to be less stringent about rules because we don't have that monopoly anymore. So I think things are going to get really, really interesting, and hopefully, yeah, I'm with you. I'm hopeful that that things really kind of open up, and we're able to find new ways into shops and new ways for hopefully for everyone to get in there.
So, Chuck, just a quick follow-up. You think that the gatekeeping will lessen by this? You think more opportunities are going to happen now? Because let's be honest, people have held, well, you're not in Diamond against people. Does that matter as much going forward?
Well, I mean, we don't know. That's the honest.
Well, I'm saying your guess.
My hope is that as these things open up and these new distribution channels open up, all of them are going to be hungry for as much of a piece of that pie as possible, which means that hopefully they're a little more open to taking some of the rest of us in and going, hey, yeah, we could use some more people on our side. Let's pad the bra. Come on in here, help us out. So it's hopefully a chance for the rest of us to kind of sneak into some of those distribution channels. Whether that's possible, I don't know, but one can hope.
Travis.
You wanted it backwards, dude.
He's still not.
You're right. So here's the thing. I think, unfortunately, I believe that most people are going to bow to Diamond. It's just what they know. It's just the easiest way. A lot of the retailers that I'm talking to right now didn't jump all in the DC thing. They're waiting for Diamond to come. And Diamond did some dirty billiards, if you don't know. I'm going to give some spoilers here. So DC's supposed to have some books coming out on May 20th. That's supposed to be the books that everybody else has right now who didn't go through Diamond. Those books are now delayed to compete with Marvel, who's coming out on March 27th. I don't believe that was an accident. I believe that was 100% on purpose to get them back into their war that helps Nova. The reason why I don't, though I like these new distribution channels and I think they could be good, the problem is what no one did was no one grabbed all the little guys, Scout, Source Point, Black Mask, Alterna, all these smaller ones, and said, hey, let's all tie up and get our indie guys here and try to do that and try to make a big thing. They didn't. They all went to individual ones here and there, and that's not going to help each other because no comic store really wants to own bills to tons of different places. Comic stores, though they hate Diamond, they do like the one bill aspect. You know, in most comic stores, they have two bills. It's their Diamond thing, and believe it or not, if they're not doing eBay, it's to My Comic Shop. A lot of comic stores, if you don't know, sell to My Comic Shop, get the money, and then buy the stuff, the rare stuff that they need to resell it and get the stuff. It's a neat, weird, not okay model that's been working for years for comics to stay afloat. So, though I see that, however, here's the thing that I do see very positive. I think Kickstarter and Indiegogo got a huge boost up because anything that wasn't in Diamond got into comic stores. If you're using the Plan C channel, a lot of stores got in there. A lot of stores were looking for new things to fill the shelf because you got to think a lot of the Midwest didn't shut down until really, really late. So they got a lot of really cool stuff in. Like I said, I'm shipping out like $300 worth of stuff. That's all because of stores that never heard of me that just needed new stuff for their shelf because they're still open. So there was a lot of opportunity, and if you took advantage of it, you're going to do really well. But even if you didn't take advantage of it, because they met me, because they met Chuck, because I know Chuck's in one of the stores that I'm in, the Advocator that Brian did, they have our Advocators, actually the whole line of Advocators. Hopefully this allows them to reach out and get new books because they want to fill those bookstores with indies because they're making more in indies. There's not a lot of BS, and people can't get them other places, so they're willing to pay a little bit more for it, is what I think. Yeah. So, Brian.
Thank you, Travis. I agree with you completely. Again, as a former retailer, I think that may be the weak link is the retail end because, like Travis said, they want to cut one check. When I go around to some shops especially in larger cities, I say, hey, I've got this stuff, my material here, and they go. The first thing they ask is it available through Diamond? And people on the retail level are so invested in the Diamond, the Diamond plan that I have read online and I've talked to a couple of retailers who actually got crap from other retailers in other areas. Well, why are you going with these two new ones? Now, having said that about crowdfunding, my thing is from my crowdfunding campaign of a couple of years ago, I don't mind selling directly to my customers. If I have to become the retailer for my own work, then that's perfectly well and good because now I have expanded my circle of influence so that like when I start a Facebook Live show, I can have some of them watching my show because they know my name. Also, I've got their email addresses. I've got their contact information. So these are people who are invested in me and may like me well enough that next time I have a project, I say, okay, fine, here's what I'm doing. And I can deal directly with them and not have to worry if I'm appealing to some retailer who doesn't want to cut a second check or, or whatever, that I have a direct line to my customer and I can influence them directly. Randy?
Oh, where to begin?
Yeah.
I think that we don't really have a crystal ball that's going to give us a direct idea of what the future is like. I think that Diamond has shown themselves to be the paper tiger that they've been for the last 20 years. I think that retailers need to get past the mentality of dealing with just one distribution company and deciding to go after profits as opposed to really thin profit margins. There's a lot of opportunity out there, especially now because we're, especially with Indiegogo and Kickstarter and the other opportunities that are out there. We are looking at what could be a great renaissance in sequential art, but there has to be more outlets. There has to be more retail startup. Diamond has to, and again, my opinion, Diamond needs to get off of their 30-year-old freaking pimpled ass and start going out and finding new outlets. They need to, because they're dying. They've been siphoning down and funneling down clients from 9,000 to 1,900 since they freaking started. And there's a problem there that needs to be fixed. Other retailers need to be encouraged to start satellite stores if they possibly can do it. But right now, the retailers need to be encouraged to survive. And we're seeing a lot of them now. I'm every time I turn around online, there's another comic shop going out because of what's happening. Nobody's out there trying to. Well, there are people out there trying to funnel a little bit of money here and there into it. But there needs to be, once everything is back, hopefully, to a relative state of normalcy, there needs to be a really hardcore push to get people into comics, then into retail shops. Retailers need to start reeling people in, and Diamond especially needs to open up somehow. And I know that they're really cash poor. Somebody's got a great car going by. I know Diamond's really cash poor, but we're going to have to start some guerrilla marketing on every aspect all over in order to educate everybody about how great comics are and how people need to start, getting into sequential art.
Yep.
But what's in the future for the retail shop? Quite frankly, that's up to them. They're going to have to decide how they want to make money.
All right, guys, we're going to wind down with our final question. So at this point, this is the last comment we're going to read for today, and it's going to go out to Phil. Phil gives us multiple networks will be more poignant and ICS contracts more loose to be able to accept more book sources. We have proven that survival is more than possible without Diamond, and I think Diamond sees this as well. And that's a great point. At the beginning of this year, before this pandemic happened, we heard the Chicken Little. The comic book industry is dying. And slowly we saw the major publishers start putting their pens down, or pencils down. The one person who never gave up on us was DC, so a lot of love to DC because they never stopped. But you know what the world gets to see now? That no independent creator stopped creating. Kickstarter continued. Indiegogo continued. Cyberfrog set records. Todd McFarlane set records on Kickstarter. And all these other creators ran and showed that we were not running away, we were not hiding, and we were going to get books out. And I'm so proud to be part of an industry that, despite the top tier, most did not stop. They continued to work. They found ways to do innovative stuff, especially the creators. I think creators got out of their comfort zone and they started going on videos. And they weren't charging. It's not like the online Comic-Cons that are charging for celebrity stuff, Zoom celebrities, but they were actually just doing free YouTube videos and hanging out. So here's my question. The online experience has changed for creators. It's a whole new world. Does that continue the minute that the pandemic is done? We're going to start, I guess we'll start with Chuck to end it. We'll go around that way. Does the online experience become part now? It's always been a small part, but does it now become a bigger part? Do Comic-Cons stay online? Do these type of panel shows continue, or is education going to be gotten at these shows that are kind of really leveling up and really talking about it? And are we going to start to see possibly, and I know Travis will hate this word, more digital sales coming from that? Are we as an industry going online?
I think we're going to see more of it. I don't think that means that, we're going to shift to digital or anything like that. I think we're all a little too hard-headed for that. I think this is very much going to be like taking your car from gasoline to a hybrid to electric. It's going to be a long process, and I think we will see a bigger piece of the pie and a bigger, more of our time go to digital. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be 50% digital or anything even hugely significant. But I do see a shift going at least in that direction. Travis?
Hey, so a couple of things that I see. So going back to, I wanted to make one more comment on the last subject before I begin. One of the positives of having these multiple venues is for years, and as Brian knows, because he was a former retail for a comic store, I was as well, there's times where we overdo it, where we think something's going to hit and it messes us up and Diamond shuts us down. That never happened to me, but I know stores where it's happened to. These alternative can get those stores to get some stuff. Yeah, they may be a week late, but to get them back so they can pay Diamond to get them back. That's going to be the best thing for comics. I think we're going to see less stores shut down if they take part of this model. Problem is a lot of these models, these other models are having mandatory orders. So that's going to be tough. All right, back on stuff. Are we going to see more online? I think we are. I actually think the future of comics, since this is our last thing, I think what we're going to see, I think if Indiegogo or Kickstarter within the next 2 years is going to make a movie. And I think it's never going to have hit a Diamond Pacific. I think it's going to happen. And I think it's going to do really well. And I think it's going to throw the industry on its head. Because if it doesn't go through Diamond, it doesn't exist, right? I think that's going to change. And we see things like, that are getting there, that are getting close. I think there's going to be a guy who makes a lot of money on Kickstarter who says, and it's not going to be Brian Polero because he was in Diamond before. It's not going to be Brian. It's going to be somebody new like a White Ash that does really well, or a, White Widow. Though they've gone to Diamond now, there's going to be someone who fights back and says, I'm not going to Diamond. I'm just going to do this route. This is where I'm going to make my money. They're going to make a movie, and everything's going to change. That's what I do believe is the future of comics. We are going to see more digital. It's just inevitable. More digital is going to take over. If I started from scratch, I'd probably start digital. If I would start from scratch today, it's just easier to hold around. I can have it all in one thing, easy to find. Because I don't know about you, I have a massive closet, and finding the stuff that I want to find never happens. Do I hate digital? Yes, I love physical books. I want physical books. I keep buying physical books. But I think we're going to see more and more of that. But I don't think physical is ever going to go away. I just think it's going to change. I think that these middle changes that Marvel's done for years is like the VR and stuff. Nobody cares about that. I think really getting an online experience where digital can help physical and physical can help digital. Right now, it's really messed up. I don't know if you guys have ever heard the Ballad of Jessica Jones. So here's the Ballad of Jessica Jones really quick. Went to Comixology exclusive, did 2 runs done by Kelly Thompson, and she actually did a great job, which is hard for me to say for her. But she did a great job. It then went directly to trade paperback at the comic stores. Volume 1, Volume 2, sold like shit, didn't sell at all. It is now in comic stores selling individual issues, showing that Marvel has no idea how to even take advantage of this digital platform, how to get it into stores, how to do any of that stuff. So that's my answer.
Okay, I'd like to take it from the publication and also from the convention side. Convention side first. I think for a while we're going to see more of these virtual conventions happening, simply because there's lower overhead, if nothing else, and everybody's flocking to Zoom as the app du jour. Whether it's profitable or not over the long run, we're just going to have to wait and see, because right now the field is just getting so congested with competition. Now, as far as the publication half, when I started writing books back in 2012, hardly anybody wanted to talk about digital back then. But the thing is, during this whole time, paperbacks were like in a downhill slide, and then they went back up again. But digital, kind of went up and is, still heading upwards, though not as powerfully as before. You're going to get a number of people who like digital because they're like me. They've got these things. and reading comics gets a little tough when they're not on. Whereas with digital, you can manipulate the image, you can change the size so that it becomes a pleasant reading experience. Plus, there are people who are doing more things online. Yeah, I prefer the comic, and as long as we have a resale industry that takes the pamphlets and wants to resell them in the vain hope that they'll be able to like buy a house with it or something, that's going to continue as long as the new comics still have some sort of positive resale value, which is why most of the stuff from like 90 on has virtually little to no extra value, simply because there's so many of them and you can't flip them, and like you could back in the day, and have like an immediate big time profit. And people now are getting used to doing digital. They do digital music now. They do all kinds of movies now on digital. The big studios are looking to, they've seen some success with releasing new movies digitally, and keep chasing that down. So I think digital will become more and more prominent for people who want to read comics and not just invest in them. I think the digital side will go up in time. Replace the pamphlet? I very much doubt it. It could be, hey, we've got this digital comic going, and as a bonus, as a stretch goal, we'll print a copy out for you. So I'm thinking that's the way to go. As for the conventions, I reserve the right to be asked that question in about 2 years to see how it shakes out. I'm not sure that we're going to see as much energy in the virtual con at that time. Randy?
Again, nobody has a crystal ball, but I think that what's going to happen once this pandemic is over, depending upon exactly how it shakes out, and I have a pretty decent idea how it's going to shake out, the conventions are never going to be the same. The physical conventions are never going to be the same. You're going to end up either getting smaller or being so overrun with regulations that they will be a virtual nightmare, and not a virtual, but a literal nightmare. And in a couple of years, they'll end up phasing out because nobody's going to want to go. Now, the cons online, once the pandemic is over, everything's going to shake down. And we've already seen that on Indie Volt Radio. We've seen our numbers go down on the countries that are more open than other countries. The countries that are closed, we're getting huge, huge audiences from, because they're stuck at home desperately looking or listening or trying to find something to occupy their time. And, we're I guess, stupid enough, and it's comics, so they want to listen. You're going to see all of the virtual conventions totally shake down and probably shake off. And when it comes to digital comics, and have a few of these podcasters are going to become personalities. Some of them already are. Some of them will keep their live streams rolling, and again, everything will shake down by people just getting out because they're only getting like 10 hits at a time or 5 hits at a time and just giving up and walking away. And others are going to become really, really big and be able to sell their stuff. And they're establishing a whole new market now. And that was going on before the pandemic started. There's a whole different aspect of how to sell sequential art online through the crowdfunding and using streaming in order to run ads and to get people interested in your product. Digital comics have been flat for the last 4 or 5 years as far as sales go, and that's because they are too expensive. And their accessibility is next to impossible. People are going to have to drop, and granted, I'm sure Comixology sales really bump when they have sales, because people want to read. People want to read comics. They don't want to read comics for the same price that they have to buy a physical. They want to read digital comics, but they don't want to pay the same price as a physical comic. And that's a problem. And there needs to be a repackaging or reaccessibility in order to help those digital sales go up. I don't think you're going to see it unless you get a couple of people in the digital market as inventive as like a Peter Simeti, who realizes that volume is going to be the key here and not a constant $5 hit, boom, 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 to an ever shrinking readership. Accessibility is going to be the real key here, both physical and digital. You're going to have to be able to get out there, get seen, and educate folks in a mindset enough to seek sequential art as their form of entertainment. And there's so many ways, quality ways, that we can do that by showing them exactly how great comics can be compared to even a movie or a television show, as far as bringing in imagination, quality, and entertainment.
All right, guys. So we've hit the hour, and today we're going to end it at this point because we could go on all day. Let's be honest. But we're going to take off our wizard hats. We're going to go back because this is all of us just speculating. So I don't want to go too far into it. There are 100 other things that could happen. We don't know. We just want you guys to be aware of the ideas of what we're seeing, and that was the point of today's conversation. From from Indie Vault to Nevermind the Furthermore, to Travis, who loves comic book shops and is very tight with them, to Chuck, who is an editor and sees all these people continuing to work. We have kind of a finger on the pulse a little bit. So we hope that we've given you the faith in the future of the comic book industry, that we're not going away. We might be changing, that's for sure, but we're not going away. So our wizard hats are off, and instead we're going to go around the room and tell you where you can follow us. Starting with, we'll go randomly this time just for fun. We'll start with Travis. He's never gone first.
I don't know if that's a deep cut insult or not. Like, never picked first. I'm always that last guy in the soccer
you apparently were, because you took it that way. I meant only on the show today. So tell them where they can find you.
I actually kind of want to cry a little bit, I'll be honest. You can find me at brokedown4deadbodies.com. You can find me in the Advocating Network with Rob for the Advocator. We have all sorts of stuff. We actually have a website built that we've never launched because I'm dumb and me and Rob are busy. You can find me at Starcross for Ludo Nations. So I'm all over the place. If you want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, it's Jester Lou, Jesterlou. But where I'm most often is Facebook groups. I actually just started a brand new Facebook group. I'm a huge fan of the crime genre, so I started a crime group. So that's just talking about crime. There was none on Facebook. So it's Crime Comics. So if you're a fan of it, come talk to us. Talk about 100 Volts, Stray Bullets, Criminal, all these really good books that have been around for years. I'm Travis Gibb, comic writer.
As someone who frequently goes first, I like being second, especially when I'm following Travis. Anyway, I'm Brian K. Morris, Rising Tide Publications. We do books, we do comics. We also do a daily talk show on Facebook called Nevermind the Furthermore. It's also broadcast on YouTube and will soon be on iHeartRadio and a couple other places. Basically, you type your question into the comments, and I read them, and we have a discussion that way. We are on every morning now from 10 o'clock Eastern on in the morning. So, and we're going to keep going until I finally get a convention that won't cancel on me. So anyway, also on Tuesday nights, we have an interview show called Clever Title Pending, where we talk about creativity and the business behind it, also available on multiple platforms. I'm also on YouTube. I'm going to be starting a series of educational videos on how to just get your dang writing career going, because people don't know that first step. I do. I found it. Also, we're at Rising Tide Publications on Facebook and risingtide.pub, where you can sign up for my monthly newsletter. Let's throw it to Chuck.
Oh, geez, I wasn't ready for that. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Chuck Pineau, Pineau. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter at ChuckyPin. You can find my awesome Chuck's Raw Reviews on YouTube. Chuck's Raw Reviews, of course. You can find me on my publishing wing, Bonfire Press, on Facebook. You can find my other comic book, Belial, on Belial Comic on Facebook. And if you love audio podcasts, which is or audio dramas, which is something completely different, I would love for you to check out any of your major podcast network and look for Essence House. I'm a writer, editor, and I love what we do. And next, Randy.
Hey, everybody, I'm Randy Zimmerman. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter. I twit every once in a while. Not very often, though. You can find me at the Zim Geek channel here on YouTube. That's ZIMMGEEK, where I talk about comics, and every other video is cartoon instruction to show you how easy it is to draw your own cartoons. On top of that, I am part of the Indie Vault podcast. group. My main shows is the Indie Volt podcast that's on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the Breakfast Buzz, which is on Thursday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Plus, I pop in sometimes Wednesdays and Thursday nights, or Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday nights, depending upon what's going on. So that's the main place you can find me. Hello, everybody. I'm Randy Zimmerman.
All right, guys, it's been a long week. We've had some technical difficulties. I'm really excited. Don't forget to check us out next week. You never know what brand new thing is going to happen. There's always something around the corner. Have faith in the comic book industry. We'll arise. Hopefully next week we will have some exciting panels for you guys, and we'll have less of the technical issues we were having this week. What the? All right, that's new and interesting.
I like it.
Let me, Indy.